New covenant Christianity is 100% apostate. It's true. Your new covenant that you are using these proof texts that you think are demonstrating that we're in the new covenant, you don't understand Hebrews. Now, we don't know exactly who the writer of Hebrews is, but you struggle and you wrestle with the writings of Paul, and you do so also the other scriptures to your own destruction. There is indeed a assembly of believers who follow Yeshua Messiah, the high priest in the order of Melchizedek, that keep the holy covenants, the promise, Ephesians 2:12. They obey the Ten Commandments and they eat clean, according to Acts chapter 15, Acts chapter 10. All other iterations of Christianity are pagan for worshiping a triune deity and not following Deuteronomy 18 or Yeshua. All 50,000 denominations are manufacturing their own Messiah in the imagination of their own wicked heart. They don't fulfill the royal law, Leviticus 19:17-18, Matthew 22:39, James 2:8. All reject the Sabbath. Nearly all worship on Sun God Day. All promote pagan holidays. All are going into great tribulation, if they even survive the fifth and sixth seal. Let's read some of these scriptures now that you sent to me to illustrate that we're in a new covenant. It's what you think, that we're in the new covenant now. We're not. We're in the refreshed covenant. These are the times of refreshing. I've been sending you these scriptures. I know you're not reading them. Acts chapter 3, 19 through 26. Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Isaiah 42, 21 and 22. Isaiah 28. Read from verse 10 to 12. You'll see that because you're not reading the scriptures line upon line, precept upon precept, you can't see the refreshing. You can't hear the refreshing. You won't enter into that rest because you've hardened your heart, you've stiffened your neck, and you got shit in your ears. Hebrews chapter 8, beginning in verse 7. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Oh, what happened? They transgressed the covenant. Galatians 3:19. Wherefore then serveth the law, the sacrificial law. Paul's writing about the sacrificial law. That's the law we're no longer under, because grace is the conviction on the heart to obey God and keep his holy covenant. That covenant was not done away with. That covenant's everlasting. When you see an everlasting gospel being preached in Revelation chapter 14, verse 6, that's the holy covenant, the Ten Commandments. It's everlasting. It's an everlasting covenant. It was given at Horeb, an oral agreement that the children of Israel entered into. God was well pleased. All that they said they would do, they didn't do. That's why this happened. Wherefore then serveth the law, the sacrificial law. You're going to serve the sacrificial law. That's what Paul's writing to the Galatians about. He's like, you idiots. Messiah came and refreshed the holy covenant and did away with the sacrificial law. Don't be going back to circumcision. Don't be put people under the burden that none of our fathers could handle. His yoke is easy, the Ten Commandments, and his burden is light. Okay? The burden that was added to the holy covenant was the sacrificial law because they built that golden calf in the wilderness. Let's continue. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. You're going to find out that it's the people that were at fault, not the covenant. Don't let this language deceive you. You got to keep reading. Verse 8, for finding fault with them. Okay, the fault was with the people. It wasn't with the covenant. For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. You're not part of the house of Israel or part of the house of Judah, are you? Right? You're the Christian house that just has to say they believe, right? The Christian house is the rebellious northern kingdom. It's the house of Israel that was scattered into the Gentiles, rising up in the last days. They should be seeking to take hold of the covenant, but they're just mostly seeking to be saved by favor. That's not biblical. That's what the wicked apostate church has changed grace into. Certain men crept into the church. They turned the grace of God into lasciviousness. So what is this law that's not good? It's the sacrificial law. finished at Calvary. Deuteronomy 29, verse 1. These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which was made with them in Horeb. Oh, there's a covenant beside the one in Horeb? Yeah. A secondary covenant which was temporary, added for transgression, as it says in Galatians 3:19 and Colossians 2:14, that's contrary to us, that was taken away. Let's keep reading Hebrews. For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That's Ezekiel 36 and 37. Two sticks becoming one hasn't happened yet. You see, they didn't teach you about the two houses in your Christian apostate church. They don't even teach that in the synagogues. Okay? It's been hid from you. I, too, was raised to believe that Christians have some kind of separate program, the bride of Christ, They just got to say they believe and they're good to go. That's not true. You've been deceived. For not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my holy covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. Yeah, you don't get into the kingdom. He regards you not if you don't keep his 10 commandments. Verse 10, Hebrews chapter 8. For this is the covenant that I will make with them. This is Hebrews, New Testament, quoting Jeremiah 31. Hasn't happened yet. This is the covenant he's going to make with us when two sticks become one. I will make with the house of Israel after those days. What days? These days, the times of refreshing, until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. We ain't there yet. I will put my laws into their mind. Take a look around. The whole world has gone gay because of Christmas and Easter. The whole world is going to be judged. It's going to start with their house of God, though, because they fumbled the ball. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Not there yet. Don't think you're his people and not keeping the holy covenant. Verse 11, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me. Do all know him now? No. From the least to the greatest, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. In that he saith, a new covenant. He hath made the first old. Now that which decayeth, that's what we're in right now. We're in that which decayeth, and waxeth old. It's waxing old. It's ready to vanish away, but it hasn't vanished away yet because we're not in the new covenant yet. We haven't gotten to the millennial reign yet. That's when he's going to write it on our hearts. That's when we won't need to teach any man and our neighbor the 10 commandments, but we do got to teach him now. That's why this world's a shithole. Jeremiah 32:37, behold, I will gather them out of all countries whither I have driven them in mine anger. That's where we are now, driven to the four corners in his anger, because the whole world forsook the holy covenant. And in my fury and in my great wrath, I will bring them again unto this place. He's going to bring us back to Horeb, and I will cause them to dwell safely. You see, we got to go back to get to the future, and that's to go to the old ways, the ways of our fathers. He's going to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers, but we ain't there yet because it's going to take great tribulation to get apostate Christians like you to take hold of the covenant. It's true. That's when we'll be at rest, but you haven't labored to enter into that rest because you think he's your Sabbath. Jesus is your Sabbath, right? He's the messenger of the covenant who's reminding you to keep Sabbath. And we're going to read from Ezekiel chapter 20 pretty soon because there are others on here, especially in the Torah movement, who've fallen a little too in love with the sacrificial law. They want to keep all the law, and they don't read the scripture line upon line, here a little there, a little precept upon precept, because there is a law that's not good. Go read Ezekiel chapter 20, verses 23 to about 26, and see that Ezekiel is talking exactly about what we just talked about here.